Hey guys, Adam here. Just a quick disclaimer. My microphone was acting really funny and it wasn't working correctly throughout this episode. I tried to clean it up the best I could, but my apologies, and I promise that next week it'll sound at least a little bit better. So enjoy the show. Hello and welcome to the Film Pulse Podcast. This is episode number 227. My name's Adam Patterson. Joining me today, we got Kevin Rakestraw on the mic. How are you, Kevin?
I'm doing pretty good.
I'm a little sick, so I apologize for any kind of sniffles or disgusting mucus sounds that you may hear today.
Good lord.
I'll just blame it on Kevin.
Mucus sounds. Ugh.
I'm like rounding the corner with it, so I'm hoping that it won't be too bad.
That's gonna be disgusting.
And I'm gonna try to mute the mic as much as possible as well. So if I have to blow my nose or sneeze, I'm gonna try to catch it.
Are you gonna cut it all together at the end so it's like a medley of mucus?
I should do that. Depending on how much it happens, that would be kind of funny.
4 minutes of mucus. Good lord.
This week on the show, we have 2 reviews lined up for you with the Academy of Muses, along with Zoom. Bit of an odd pairing
Maybe
this week.
maybe the weirdest double bill we've done.
Bit of an odd pairing. We'll also be talking about some other stuff we've been watching on the watch list, movie predictions, new on video on demand, Blu-ray releases.
Oh my.
Let's talk about... There's only really one thing that happened this week, or since we recorded, that I wanted to discuss, and that's the unfortunate passing of Gene Wilder.
Oh.
Yeah.
Gene.
Very sad. I was hoping to see him in a couple more roles. For some reason, I just had a feeling he was gonna be making a comeback.
That he would overcome the Alzheimer's?
Is that what he had? Yeah. I
Yeah.
didn't know he had that.
Yeah.
I know he was 83.
And he is like perhaps the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, I know you're a huge.
Oh my god, my whole
Wilder
childhood was Gene Wilder. That's what I grew up with. Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor.
Classic
Man.
duo.
Oh my god.
Now, what's your favorite Gene Wilder film?
I would have, if I'm going straight Gene Wilder, it's got to be Willy Wonka, because he's just amazing in that movie. He's just absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
if I had to go,
that's the go-to answer.
Yeah, if I had to go Wilder and Pryor, I had to say Stir Crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But I pretty much liked anything he was in. I don't think I ever disliked a movie that he was in.
I can't think of one either, actually. I wasn't a big fan of the sitcom that he was in. I can't remember the name of it. Remember that? Remember the sitcom?
Yeah, I was so stoked for that.
It wasn't very good. It was really average.
But man, Young Frankenstein, Blazing Saddles,
Yep.
Haunted Honeymoon.
Oh yeah, Haunted Honeymoon. He directed that one too, didn't he?
Yeah. See No Evil, Hear No Evil.
Oh.
Yeah, I even love that one. Silver Streak.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I think I'm gonna have to go back through all these.
I've been thinking about that too. Anytime a person who
Because
I was
there's
a big
even
fan
some
of
that I haven't
passed
even
away.
like the producers. I don't even think I've seen the entirety of the producers.
Well, there's a
I
lot
haven't
of his
seen, like,
movies.
bits.
Yeah, there's a lot of his movies that used to play on TV a whole lot, and
Oh, yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of them that I saw on TV but did not see like the
Oh, yeah.
full,
Without a doubt. I think I've seen See No Evil, Hear No Evil like 30 times on TV. But
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen like the theatrical version of that, which is probably like a much different movie.
Yeah. I would imagine so. Yeah. Yeah, it's very very sad, but I'm gonna try to maybe
It's
watch
one of
some
the-
Wilder stuff.
It's a weird thing though. Like whenever someone's like, passed away because of Alzheimer's related, there's a part of me that's like, oh, good. You know what I mean? Like,
I get it.
that's
Yeah.
that's got to be awful. It's awful.
Yeah, I would imagine. So. Although most of the time, or a lot of the time, they don't really know what's going on. You know what I mean? Like,
That's what I mean. It's like, oh, Gene. Oh, I love you, Gene.
Yep, you will be missed, surely. All right, let's talk about our first movie this week. Let's do Academy of Muses.
Jump into that one.
Let's
Since that
do
one's
that.
right up your alley. I mean, can the movie get any more Adam Patterson? I mean, seriously. Oh God.
Well,
When I
when
started
you
watching that, I was just like, oh damn, Adam is gonna be in heaven.
when you picked this, I was like, why does he want to watch this? Like, what?
I heard so many good things about it. I heard
Yeah.
so many good things, and I was just like, I didn't. In all honesty, I didn't really know what it was about. I just heard really good things, and I was like, and then it popped up on Fandor, and I was like, perfect. I've been wanting to see this for a while now, ever since like it played festivals. I've been hearing about it since then.
All right. So, what did you think? What did you think of Academy Muses?
Oh man, these movies are tough. These types of things, like, there's a part of it that, like, on one level, I appreciate it, and I can appreciate what they're doing, but like as a film viewing experience, like, it was like I was watching a book,
Well, I mean,
which is
really,
is a really like kind of a stupid thing to say, but man, like this would be much better as a book.
I felt like I was just watching a classroom lecture because that's pretty much what
Well,
the
yeah, and
bulk
that's
of it
the word.
is.
Yeah, that's how it starts out. It essentially starts out as a documentary where they're just filming this guy giving his lectures, and then they kind of like bleed this narrative into it, like out of what he's discussing, the muses and everything. And then the other thing that makes it at least difficult on my end is I haven't read any Dante, which I probably should at some point in time. So, like in the beginning, the classroom stuff, I don't, I'm not really sure what's going on.
Yeah, and I will also claim ignorance on that too. I never read Dante's Inferno, so a lot of the discussions. Now, I saw some movie adaptations of it, but they were so long ago. I'm not really familiar with the intricacies of that story.
Yeah,
So
and if you're like us and you haven't read Dante's Inferno, or I don't think you're not gonna be 100% lost. Like you're still able to get the gist of what's going on here, but it does leave you kind of flailing at the beginning until like the narrative kind of bleeds into it. But I mean, it's a lot of shots of people just chit chatting, and I mean, it's in the beginning, it's slightly interesting the way that he shoots through like window panes, and you have the reflections of outside kind of reflected on their faces. But that's as far as it goes.
yeah, I mean, visually, that's the thing. Like, you can look at films like La Sapienza, for instance, where it's sort of similar. I could see the similarities between those two, or I was reminded of La Sapienza with this movie. But the difference is La Sapienza is so visually arresting, whereas this movie, like you said, the only hook that it really has going for it is that he shoots everything outside. So he's kind of like outside looking in, be it people having a conversation in a car or in a house, and you're seeing it through the window. So there's always this kind of reflective glass in between the camera and the people having the conversation. That's really the only hook, the only kind of visual flair that this has. And to me, it just wasn't that interesting because I thought that it just didn't look very good. It looked kind of, to me, low quality digital, going back to what you said at the beginning, almost like a documentary style.
Yeah, and I mean, there was parts that I liked, like
I liked the end.
yeah, and that's one of the things is he really he comes he gets to his point like in the last like 15 minutes or so. So it's all kind of like a build up to that, putting all the puzzle pieces together, and then but man, it's just that payoff and all that time spent is just because it gets rather redundant up until that point
Yeah.
where you're kind of like, hey, yeah, I get it, I get what you're doing. And I
Let's.
mean, they kind of hooked me at first when he does the first lecture, and he's kind of having these discussions, this discourse with the students and stuff, and then he goes home and he has the talk with his wife, and you can see how the wife is much smarter than he is and kind of dominates him. And then he takes, then cuts to the next day, and he's essentially stolen all of her ideas, and he's trying to pass them off as his own. And like at the beginning there, I was like, oh, okay, here we go. And then it kind of went down into like a valley, and it was just middling until the very end.
Yeah. Let's step back for just a second because we haven't really discussed the details of this movie. So, those of you listening, I apologize. I'm gonna read the synopsis here because you may be completely lost about what this is really all about. So here's the synopsis. After his classes, a teacher is questioned by his wife, who mistrusted the academic project is plotting her husband. That's what it says on IMDb. The teacher's intention is to create a school of muses inspired by the classic references that should be used to generate the world through engagement with poetry. The controversial order triggered a round of scenes around the word and desire.
I don't know if we really... I don't know
if
that helps.
Well, I've read some bad plot summaries on IMDb, but wow, that one has some issues. Whoever wrote that needs to maybe rework that a little bit.
I'm thinking that maybe English isn't their first language.
Quite possibly. That might have been a Google Translate job right there.
It does sound like one.
This is written and directed by Jose Luis Guerin.
Yeah, and he's talking about muses and like literary references and stuff, and then that's essentially, he is trying to build the Academy of Muses.
Yeah, so he's trying to teach, unless I'm mistaken, he's trying to teach his class what makes a muse and then kind of have them become muses in their own right. Which I didn't really get because it's like, wouldn't that be a little condescending to be like, hey, I want you to be a muse. You're not a creator, but you're going to inspire the creator. Like, you're not good enough to actually warrant your own muse. You're going to be the muse.
Correct.
I don't know. To me, if I was in that class, I'd be like, all right, forget it. I'll leave.
I'm done.
I also noticed, I don't know if they just didn't show it, but I did notice that at the beginning of the class, there were a fair number of men in his classroom, but by the end, it seemed like it was only women.
Well, and that's the interesting thing is because he's essentially saying that only women can be muses. So if that's the point of the class, why are there men in it to begin with? Like, did they just show up at the wrong class?
Yeah, maybe they were just interested. Maybe they were just looking for an interesting discussion about muses and didn't realize that he was trying to shape these women. I mean, he's just, to me, it seemed like he was just trying to sleep with all of them.
Well, yeah. And I think he's just trying to, like, create a collection of muses. And he's trying to, like, entice them to come up with ideas so that he can, in turn, take them.
Yeah, I think it was his wife that at one point said that he's trying to gather these muses for a book that he'll never write or something like that.
Yeah. Which, I mean, first go around, it definitely feels like a movie that I have to watch again. Because there's just so much going on here. And there's so much talking. And that's why I say, like, to me, it would work better as a book because I can annotate stuff. You know what I mean? And I can look at this and then reference back. Because there's a lot of things at the end of the movie that shed a new light perspective on stuff that was at the beginning or the middle. But by that time, there's so much dialogue that I forgot about 50% of it.
Right. Plus it's subtitled. And I think that when you have really dialogue-heavy movies that contain a lot of ideas and concepts and discussion, when you're dealing with a subtitled movie, I think it's harder to retain that information rather than if it was in your native language, you can kind of listen and take it in as they're speaking.
Yeah, I think there's some truth to that. Because it would have been nice to, like, at the beginning of the movie, it was like, hey, before this starts, maybe get a notepad and take some, like, I didn't know, I wasn't expecting it to be a class.
Right, yeah.
And I think it's one of those movies that could definitely grow on me. Like, if I'll watch it a second or third time. But I don't know if it was as enticing as it needed to be the first go around, to lure me back for the second or the third time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I can
tell
you
it's not that inviting.
Yeah, I'll definitely never watch it again. That's for sure.
But man, again, because we kind of touched on it, the odd pairing of this movie with the next movie we're going to talk about, Zoom. I watched this first, right?
Same
and
here.
I really wasn't on its wavelength. Again, I can appreciate and respect what it's doing, but not 100% my thing. And then I watched Zoom, and I'm like, man, it made me appreciate this movie a little bit more. This is like, man, I wish I could just go back and watch Academy of Muses.
Uh, you know what I call Academy Muses? Academy of
Huh.
Snoozes.
Oh
I came
boy,
up with that trademark.
nice.
Yeah,
I just
it's
I imagine you with a moleskin that has like 14 different versions of that crossed out, and then you finally have that one right, and then it's like circled 18 times with a red pen.
I came up with that one pretty quickly.
Oh, okay.
That was a pretty quick one. It was like
So
it was like
sorry to sell you short.
it was like 25 minutes into the movie, and I just yelled it out.
Oh,
I mean, it is only an hour and a half long, so thank God for that. At
but
one
even
point,
even at that point, even
oh yeah,
at
no, you're feeling it. You're
you're
feeling it
definitely
big
feeling
time.
it. I don't know, it kind of reminds me of a Nero film, but it doesn't have number one. It doesn't have the visual element to it that keeps you interested, keeps
Yeah,
your attention,
yeah,
which really would have helped. I mean,
that's
honestly, it really would have helped.
that's the big thing for me is I can I can handle these types of movies if there's at least some sort of something cinematography wise happening here that keeps my attention grabbed. You
Yeah,
know,
because
when
I mean, there's a point, 20 minutes to half an hour in where you're just kind of thinking to yourself, why a movie? Why a film? Like, why did you decide on this medium? Because I don't know if it really lends itself well to a film.
I mean, what it boils down to, what movies like this boil down to, is your interest level in the topic of discussion, right? So if you're not really interested in what they're discussing with the muses and references to Dante's Inferno, you're not going to be invested in this movie. And for me, I was like, I don't care, I don't care. That's why when it took the more narrative turn and we started exploring his relationship with the students and his relationship with his wife and then what happened at the very end, that's what pulled me in. That's what I was interested in. I didn't care about the bullshit that he was saying about muses. Like I didn't care. Like to me, from like the very beginning, I was not on board with what this guy was saying. Like I was just like, oh, this is ridiculous. This is a waste of everyone's time. I'm not on board with what you're saying. I don't believe it, and
But
I don't support it. If I wanted to have a discussion about Dante's Inferno, I'd go take a freshman lit class. Like this is not what I want.
well, it is funny for me to, because like I don't know. I'm like it feels like I'm allergic to academia to a certain point, and like within the first like 10 minutes or so of his, I was just like, man, I am so happy I never went to college. Like that shit is not for me.
Yeah.
No, thank you. I don't support it either. I don't support your bullshit ideas about muses.
Yeah, do not support that. All right, let's give the Academy of Muses a score. Kevin, what are you going to give this out of 10?
I don't fucking know.
Yeah, this is a tough one. Like, I have no idea how to score this one, honestly.
I have like a 5.5,
Because, like you said, it's
maybe.
not inherently bad. It's just, this is very far away from what I'm looking for in a film. Like,
Yeah.
there was nothing about this. I didn't
Well,
feel it particularly enlightening on an
yeah. I
intellectual
mean,
level.
and it's one of those things where it's like you're perfectly fine. Academy of Muses, perfectly fine. You seem like a great film. I just don't think we're made for each other.
Yeah.
There's no connection there. I wish you the best of luck, Academy of Muses.
I'm going to go 4.5 on this one just because I thought that the visuals were pretty weak
There you
too.
go.
Like that was a bit of a disappointment for me as well. I was expecting it to be very visually appealing. That just, I wasn't really into the whole glass thing.
I mean, I liked it at first. I thought it was interesting.
There were some parts. I think it was maybe for some reason, it was the last conversation he had with his wife inside. I know that they did it multiple times, but for some reason, the last one to me looked the best.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but it just, yeah, I liked that, but Academy Muses, If you want to check it out, it's on Fandor. It's getting, on Letterboxd at least, it has rave reviews. People are just eating it up. And you know what?
Yeah,
Maybe if I was 18, 19 years old and in that kind of phase of my life, maybe I would have liked it more.
Well, yeah, I know what you mean. I think if I was just more, I don't know.
Searching for answers and
See,
looking to discuss things like that.
See, to me, like, that stuff is just so much bullshit. I don't know if it's because I'm a creative person that I'm just kind of like, shut the fuck up and do something. Do something.
That's how I was from the very beginning of this movie. I was like, I am just not on board with what he's saying. I don't believe it.
You're just looking at it from this angle and then this angle and dissecting it this way, and you're just talking and talking. You're not doing anything.
Yeah, they just talk in circles, and it's frustrating. It just goes in one ear and out the other sometimes.
Yeah, and especially when you kind of have an idea, you have a suspicion of what his intentions are, and then when you do finally come to define what his intentions are, you're just kind of like, I thought so.
Yeah, I knew it from the beginning too. Like, I just knew it. All right,
shut your face.
Let's move on. Talk about our next film with Zoom. This is directed by Pedro Morelli. I have a synopsis here: a multi-dimensional interface between a comic book artist, a novelist, and a film director. Each lives in a separate reality, but authors a story about one of the others. The stars Gael Garcia Bernal, Alison Pill. Jason Priestley's in there. Jason fucking Priestley's in there.
Watch out.
Tyler Labine. All right, I'll start this one off. Zoom. Oh, Zoom. Zoomy Zoom. Not sure exactly why it's called Zoom.
That was going to be my first question. Do you have any idea why it was called Zoom?
No.
Did I miss something? I feel like I missed something.
To me, this feels like a throwback to the early 2000s.
Oh my god, does it?
It's not good. I'll tell you that much right off the bat. This is not a good movie. I did not enjoy myself one bit during this movie. It just felt. There were so many points in this movie where I'm just like, why is this happening? What is going on here? Why are we doing this? Like, there's just no substance to it. It's like you have these 3 stories, and it's like the only thing to draw you in is like, hey, get this. Gael Garcia Bernal's directing a movie that's about this writer who's writing Alison Pill's life, but she's making a comic book about Gael Garcia Bernal's character, and it's just this crazy cycle, guys. It's amazing. It's gonna melt your brain. And it's just like, I'm not buying any of this stuff. It just doesn't work.
Well, no, because for the longest time, it's just Alison Pill. Her story is the reality, and she's making the comic book.
Yeah, at first, yeah.
And then the comic book is Gael Garcia Bernal making the movie about the writer. And it's not until the end do they have the writer in the movie writing Alison Pill's story, and the way that they kind of reveal that is just, oh man, dude, the wheels come off on this motherfucker. Holy shit. We're talking written words in the sky, narrators talking through realities, Alison Pill just talking to the heavens while there's a standoff for some reason. All of a sudden we're involved. We're in a Mexican standoff. Which doesn't make sense because there's a personal trainer that's from the story that's being written by the Brazilian girl in her reality, but now he shows up which just as, oh my goodness. And it's just all certain different types of awful.
Yeah.
Because
think so.
Alison Pill's story is essentially centered around she wants bigger tits.
Yeah. She works in a sex doll shop.
So we do that for the longest time.
And she has this body image issue where she wants to look hotter, I guess, and she decides to.
She wants to look like
she has buyer's remorse afterwards.
Well, which is such a stupid scene where she's like, "They're too big. I want them gone." And the guy, like, number one, the doctor, he's not going to care. Like, he's getting paid either way. He
Yeah,
doesn't give a shit. If
exactly.
you want to take him out, he's going to take him out. But the fact that she thinks that she can just get him removed without having to pay anything, like, here, just take him back. When she finally is like, oh, I don't have any money. And he's like, oh, can't help you. She's like, you're an asshole. It's like, what the fuck did you think? Like, people
This
don't
is surgery.
surgeries for free.
Yeah, this is actual surgery. This is a surgical procedure where like they put you under and everything. I mean, this is it's like a real thing.
And then Garcia Bernal's section is like that aha music video.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say. It's like Take on Me.
For the entire time. And you know how awful that music video is? Because I've never hated. I hate that music video more than anything in the world. Okay, because for whatever reason, it always popped up on MTV.
Oh yeah,
Like anytime you would sit down,
really
and be like,
famous video.
yeah, you're like, oh, I'm just gonna watch the music videos, and then it would be aha, and you'd just be like, this is the worst decision I've ever made. So to see it pop up in a movie in 2016 was just, oh god. And then his whole storyline is, all of a sudden he gets a micro penis.
Yeah.
Halfway through, boom, micro penis.
Yep. And he's just struggling with that micro penis because he needs to use his penis in his job because he needs to sleep with everyone in order to get what he wants.
Yeah. That's how he demonstrates his power. That's where he gets his confidence from. Like, this movie is about appearances.
But it's so funny because you think, oh well, he's gonna learn to use his words and have discussions with people and make compromises now that he can't rely on his penis. But no, that's not where they go with it. He gets a robotic one.
Oh god.
Like a strap-on dildo thing, and then that gets messed up. And then he gets his regular dick back. Spoiler, he gets his dick back.
Which is hilarious because she actually writes in and remember, keep in mind that the Brazilian woman that wants to be a writer, but for some reason Jason Priestley is forcing her to be a model for some. I don't understand why, and you even have the dialogue of like, you're not a writer, you're a model. And he's like, do you even know how to spell English words?
But just think about this though. It's that story is coming from the mind of Gail Garcia Bernal's character, who has a micropenis. So,
and then there's actually dialogue in the book where she writes down Edward gets his penis back, which gives him the power to finish the film. Like, that's actually written and then spoken by people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I want to know why people signed up for this.
Yeah,
I need to know.
I think it's supposed to be fun and cheeky and just very, very silly, but man, it's just, ugh.
And then the cinematography is so cool.
Ugly.
They keep spinning shit. They just keep spinning it. It's just spinning it around.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's just so
It's
terrible.
like nothing's happening. And it's just like she flies into Brazil. Oh, let's have the camera spin. Upside down. Now it's sideways. Now it's back to being upside down because she's getting off a plane.
But one could argue that's because the cinematography is because it's, once again, Gael Garcia Bernal shooting it. And he's an action movie director, and he's trying to go outside, break this stereotype this box that people put him in.
Yeah, he's making an art movie.
But but he's still got that flair. That's still there, the action movie flair. So he's shooting it at all these angles and stuff.
He sure is.
See, that's the thing about this movie is as far as the visuals or even the content, there's always an argument against any criticism.
Well, it's funny because the only argument that you can come up with is like, okay, the Brazilian writer section is so bad.
Right.
Because Gael Garcia Bernal is a bad director.
But then that's cyclical too. Like you just like, okay, well, Alison Pill is she's shallow and superficial, and she's drawing this, shallow and superficial story about Gael Garcia Bernal,
and that's why his is so bad. And it's funny because you think to yourself, why would you spend so much time writing a movie about people being terrible at things and then having us have to watch it?
I know, right? Why would you write a movie about three people that are terrible at their jobs and not good at what their chosen medium is?
Yeah, and then you just like throw in this thing at the end where it's like, we're gonna steal cocaine back, and so she can get her breast implants taken out.
Oh, and that whole thing didn't make any sense to me either. Like, so they put it, so they get, she ends up finding this cocaine, and they decide to sell it to someone in Buffalo, and they get it there for some reason by packing it into one of the sex dolls that they were mailing to a customer. And it's like, why?
But it's funny because you can go back and be like, that's because the Brazilian woman
Yep.
is a terrible writer. That's why. And she's a terrible writer because Gail Garcia Bernal is a terrible director. Everyone's fucking terrible, and congrats, you made a fucking terrible movie. Great job. Applaud yourself if that was, I guess that's your goal. I don't know, but it's terrible. It's just absolutely terrible. And like you said at the beginning, that you didn't enjoy yourself while watching this movie. I hated myself. Like I'm just mad at myself for watching this.
Yes, it is not an enjoyable experience at all. I mean, granted, some people may fall for the whole shtick, the three stories, and they're all writing each other's stories. Some people might find that clever, but we've seen it so many times before and done so much better in such a more entertaining way.
Yeah.
I mean, even something like Ruby Sparks or Stranger Than Fiction. I mean, these are all movies that do kind of the same thing, and they're just so much better than this.
Well, and so it's written by Matt Hansen. And my first question is, how old is Matt Hansen? I need to know. I'm not like, this doesn't feel like the work of an adult.
No, it doesn't. No, it really doesn't.
And it feels like the work of like a teenager from like the early 2000s. Like, yes. It doesn't even feel like this time period. It's a very odd experience.
Yeah, like I said, it feels like a movie that would have come out in the early 2000s. Because the animation sometimes has that Richard Linklater, I don't know if that's rotoscoped or whatever that is.
Yeah, where they just kind of go over it with...
Yeah, it has that look to it sometimes.
Some sort of Apple product. Just doodle over top of it.
It's just bad. It's unfortunate because there's some talented people in this movie, and their talents are just completely wasted.
Yeah. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing.
Yeah. So pretty much hated Zoom.
This might be like right now. Well, never mind. Moonwalkers. I still hate Moonwalkers more than this.
Moonwalkers.
Well, I don't know. This might actually be worse than Moonwalkers. I'm not sure. I would say right now it's tied for the worst film I've seen this year.
Not for me. I've seen several that are worse than this, but not.
And again, I'm not counting those festival movies that we saw. Like, Shortwave? I'm not counting those because Shortwave was.
No, I don't count festival movies. I think the worst movie I saw this year was still the Martyrs remake. That was still pretty bad. Although Moonwalkers is almost at the bottom of my list. In the Independence Day Resurgence is down there too.
So yeah, Zoom for me is tied with Moonwalkers as the worst film of the year that I've seen.
Yeah. All right.
Oh God.
Let's give Zoom a score. I'm gonna throw out a 2.
I'm gonna give it a 1.
Yeah, I would. This is playing on VOD if you're interested, but I would highly recommend avoiding Zoom.
Please.
Because
Please do.
Yeah, it's a little rough. It's a little rough around the edges.
It's terrible. And it's not even terrible in a way of like, hey, I can watch this and make fun of it with my friends. No, you can't do it. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing is what it is.
Definitely is. All right, that's Zoom playing now. let's move on and talk about someone we're watching on the watch list. Once again, I forget who started last week. Was it you? I think it was you because you only had one.
Yeah, I think
right?
so. I have more than one this week.
Okay, well, I'll start it off. I don't have that many this week. I watched less than what I've been doing. I saw The Neon Demon.
Oh boy.
Yeah, little Nicholas Winning Refn. I actually liked The Neon Demon, believe it or not.
Yeah?
Yeah, yep.
I still want to see it.
It's significantly better than Only God Forgives. Significantly better.
Well, that's good.
The visuals are there, but there is more of a strict narrative. So it's almost like a cross between Drive and Only God Forgives. Because it is very...
kind of like he split the difference almost.
Yeah, I think he did. I think he was like thinking about it. He's like, okay, I gotta dial it back a little bit, but I still want to kind of be out there.
He's tweaking those knobs.
Yeah, so there are sequences where it's just very kind of uber stylish, surreal imagery, but there is a very specific timeline of events that's occurring, and it's not too it's a little pretentious, but it's not overly pretentious like Only God Forgives.
Yeah.
And what he's saying in this movie, the themes that he's exploring, the whole LA scene and just how superficial and cutthroat and horrific that scene can be, and how impersonal it is. These are all themes that are explored a million times over, but he does it in kind of an interesting and entertaining way. Basically, if you're not familiar, Elle Fanning is an aspiring model who arrives in LA, and she just quickly rockets up. Like, her career just takes off as soon as she gets there. She gets an agent right away. Everybody loves her. She's amazing. And some of her model peers are jealous of her, and they attempt to devour her. So it's sort of like it's LA consuming her. Like, she's being consumed by the city, by the industry. And
careful with LA.
It works. I mean, the visuals are absolutely 100% on point. They are incredible. I mean, some of the stuff, he's the type of director where you can pretty much take a still of any single frame and it looks amazing.
Yeah.
He's so meticulous in each of his shots. He doesn't waste a single frame. He wants everything to look great, even in seemingly meaningless transition scenes and stuff like that. It's just it looks amazing. It's very, I can't speak highly enough of the visuals in this movie, but the story itself it's fine. It's nothing we haven't seen before. It's nothing amazing, but it's fine. It's got the ending is a little meh, but it's very violent too, very very bloody.
Ooh.
But it's like Drive, where it's not like a bloodbath throughout. It's just like spurts,
Gotcha.
But at any rate, I would recommend checking out The Neon Demon. I was, for some reason, I was excited to see it, and then I really cooled off on it, and I was just like, nah, I'm not, I don't know. But yeah, it's worth looking. It's worth a look.
Okay, all right. I saw Spy.
Oh, the Paul Feig?
The Paul Feig.
Yeah? What'd you think of this?
I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, same here.
I enjoyed it very much.
Yeah, same here. I had zero expectations for that movie.
Same here.
Not, like, I was so done with the whole action comedy thing, and just Melissa McCarthy, while I still like her and I find her an extremely funny actress, it was just like, when Spy came out, it was like after she was in 12 different movies, and they all seemed like they were kind of the same.
Well, that's always the problem, too, when you get, like, these comedic actors. It seems like it always happens with comedic actors. They get a little bit of success, like one movie does pretty well, and they just, they flood the market with them. Just Melissa McCarthy everywhere. Kevin Hart, let's throw him in every fucking movie. Like, every month there's a new Kevin Hart movie. And it's just like they oversaturate it. Where it's just like, I like Melissa McCarthy. I love her comedy. But at the same time, like, can we space these out just a little bit? Like, it's exhausting because they're all kind of the same, just different premises, but
Mm-hmm.
essentially, like, so. But like you said, I had no expectations whatsoever. I essentially just wanted to be entertained because I haven't gotten to see that many movies because the dog takes up a lot of time. And Spy just hit the spot. And just between Melissa McCarthy and Rose Byrne, just those two, they were hilarious.
Yeah. Yep.
It
100% agree on
was,
that.
and the Jason Statham, I finally get to see what everyone's talking about, and he was pretty funny.
Yeah. Yeah, he was a good character.
Especially at that one point where he's just going through the list of all the things that he's done. Melissa McCarthy is just not 100% buying it. She's just a little bit skeptic.
Yeah.
The only thing that didn't work for me was I forget that guy's name. He played Aldo. He was like the Italian,
Mm.
the handsy one.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
That shit was a bit redundant.
Yeah.
I don't think we had to spend that much time on it. Like, it's not a good character. It's not funny. Let's cool it.
It was still enjoyable. I think they're making a sequel to that.
I would watch it. I'll watch that sequel. I'll do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
Speaking of comedy sequels, I saw Neighbors 2,
Oh boy,
Sorority Rising.
watch out.
This is another one where like I liked. I think I reviewed the first Neighbors, or I know that I talked about it on the show. I liked the first Neighbors. I didn't find it to be nonstop hilarious, hilarity, but I enjoyed it. It was like one of those. It's kind of how I feel about a lot of Judd Apatow movies, where they're enjoyable, they're entertaining, but I'm not laughing hysterically throughout the whole movie. You know what I mean? And I feel like recently that's how a lot of comedies are, where like the Seth Rogen comedies, I'll watch them, I'll laugh a few times, I'll enjoy myself, but it's not like I'm leaving the theater in tears or like, my side hurts, I've been laughing so hard. But I'll say this, Neighbors 2 is significantly funnier and better than the first one. I mean,
Really?
it's one of the few sequels where I think that it is superior in almost every way than the first one. It's hilarious. The laughs per minute are much higher, and it's just a great premise. You think that it's the same thing. It's like, oh, in the first one, a frat was next door to them, and they have to get rid of the frat. And then in this one, oh, it's a sorority now. And so you think that it's just going to be a retread, but it's not. It's not at all. I mean, in the base sense, yes, it is. That's what it is. It's a sorority that pops up next door. But there's all of these added layers where, they have a kid and they have another kid on the way, so they're looking to move into a bigger house. So they already have the new house bought, like it's ready to go. They closed on it. It's good to go. Their current house is in escrow, so they have to wait for like 30 days or something like that in order for the buyers to commit to selling their old house. If they don't sell this old house and the buyers pull out, they're screwed because then they have two houses.
Oh boy.
And then this sorority goes in and threatens to screw up everything else. But there's this kind of feminist undertone to this where the whole reason for this sorority existing is because, sororities on college campuses can't throw parties, but frats can. And so there's like all of this, there's this much bigger things that are being discussed in this movie than and the first one had some bigger themes too, but this one, it just really, really took me by surprise. I would highly recommend checking out Neighbors 2 because it's really funny. There's a nice blend of physical comedy and just kind of regular dialogue based comedy that we've seen a lot of these kind of Seth Rogen movies.
Yeah.
Zac Efron is, because in this one Zac Efron teams up with Rose Byrne and Seth Rogen.
Oh boy.
To take down the sorority, and it's just really funny. Dave Franco's back in it, and he's really funny too, and it's just really, really enjoyable watch. So I would highly recommend checking out Neighbors 2. You'll like it. You will.
Yeah, I've been meaning to get around to those Neighbors movies. One of these days.
I feel like you could almost just go straight to 2, because Well,
Skip
I mean,
one.
yeah, there's some things I guess that you would not really
But will I
understand.
understand the characters' motivations without seeing the first one? You know what I
There's
mean? Like I don't know what they've been through,
yeah, that's the thing.
but
Like
their
there's
past,
definite you won't know
what haunts them.
how deep the relationship between Seth
Yeah,
Rogen and Zac Efron
you know
goes.
what kind of bitterness is there? Where does the resentment lie? That
Yeah,
type of
so yeah,
stuff.
I would actually say yeah, see the first one first.
Gonna have to do a double bill with some neighbors. Neighbors
Or
one.
maybe do a cool little reversal thing where you watch the second one
Do neighbors
first.
two,
Yeah,
and
you watch
then
the second one
yeah,
first, then
okay,
you see the first one, and you're like, oh, that's what they
yeah,
meant.
yeah. You watch the second one first, come up with with the way that you see these people, and then go back to one and see if you're correct.
I like that idea.
Did
That's a
I
good
judge
idea.
these?
I like
Did I
that.
judge these people correctly? You could learn a thing or two. You could learn some lessons from Neighbors 2 and 1 by watching them in reverse order.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow. Everything else I watched were short films. Trying to do some catch up here. Kind of got behind. Like I was for the majority of the year when something would come out on No Budge, boom, pounced on it the day of. Essentially, as soon as it came out, come home from work, bam, No Budge, type it into the little bar up at the top there on your
Mm-hmm.
computer screen,
Yeah.
and then watch it and then check it off the list. But I am behind. I'm like 5 short films behind. So trying to cram them in there because there's some good stuff there on the No Budge. And one of them is a debut short, 7 minutes long. It's a short one, directed by Hilary Bell, called Gogurt.
Oh, I saw this.
This is quite good. I was
Yeah,
surprised
I
by this
like it a
one.
lot.
I mean, the 7 minutes, the screenplay for this, I mean, it's some pretty damn good writing. I
Well,
enjoyed this a
the
lot.
surprising thing is it almost feels like it's a feature length. And
Yeah.
I also feel like she could easily adapt this into a feature length
Oh
because
my God, easily.
I'm gonna tell you the one thing that really grabbed me with this short was the lingering shots that she would do on the adults, like the dad when he was at the
Hmm.
mower, and then the mom when she lit up the cigarette, and how the camera just stuck with him because you're like, there's something there, there's
Yeah.
something going on there, and she doesn't tell you what it is, but she kind of alludes to, there's trouble in paradise, there's something happening there, something more.
And it's because the whole thing is just it starts out with her losing her virginity, and it's just like her hanging out with her friend, and they're just kind of discussing it. What happens, the disappointment, and it's kind of like that where it's the coming of age where you realize that life is disappointment, and the adults they're already full-fledged into it. They are knee deep in that disappointment. And she's just getting there, and she got initiated with Gogurt. Fucking Gogurt.
Joker.
And it's
Yeah.
just because, like, there's not much to it, but at the same time, there is. It's just a really good script, and you're right. Just those little moments, the way that she shot this, man, I was surprised. I did
Yeah.
not think that, going in 7 minutes, that I'm really going to get that much out of it. Like, yeah, I might get impressed, but I wasn't expecting that when the credits started to roll that I was clamoring for more of Gogurt. Like, I could have done 70 minutes of Gogurt.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot there. There is a lot there to digest. And it's surprising in 7 minutes.
So check that out on No Budge. It's only 7 minutes long. It's a student film. It's a student film.
It looks great too.
Oh my God.
Very professional.
Like this is, how I was talking about Zoom and how it wasn't made by an adult, and wondering how old Matt Hansen is. I mean, Gogurt, I would not have assumed. This seems like it was made by an adult, whereas Zoom felt like it was made by like a 13-year-old boy.
Yeah,
So Gogurt, watch some Gogurt.
I
Just a
saw.
weird word.
I saw. Yeah, no, Gogurt. Ugh.
Have you ever had Gogurt? I've
I
never had
have.
Gogurt.
I have.
Yeah, really?
I don't like it.
Is it as awful as it sounds and looks?
I think so. I think it's gross.
It's just a dumb idea. Why? I just don't understand it.
If you're looking for kids yogurt, I prefer the Trix yogurt. The Trix yogurt's good.
Does it come in a tube?
No, it's just a
Or
regular
is it mobile
regular
yogurt?
yogurt container.
That's what I don't like. Why did we have to make yogurt more mobile?
Because it's on the go. You're going to school. You just throw a Gogurt in your backpack.
I just,
Slurp it down on your way to school.
how do you not have time to eat some yogurt?
Because a regular yogurt container, it's messy. It requires a spoon. This way, you just tear it open, suck it down, you're good to go.
It's just imagining like someone eating that on like a day out in the hot sun when it's like 97 degrees out, and they have this fucking thing of Gogurt. Oh god.
I don't like Gogurt. There's something about the consistency of Gogurt that does not match regular yogurt. It's like thicker. It's like more gelatinous.
Well, and two, to think like, if I had to think of when's the worst time to eat Gogurt, I would think post-coital would be the absolute worst time.
Yeah, definitely. There's also something about the fact that you tear it open and you have to put your lips around the outside of the wrapper, and it's just like, I don't know who's been touching that thing.
True. You don't know what it's been laying on. Like, is your fridge clean? Like, what's been on that shelf? Is it next to the eggs?
Yeah, it's just gross.
Did you have like raw poultry on that shelf? Like, I gotta know your kitchen situation.
Am I gonna get E. coli from this Gogurt? That's the question.
I gotta fucking wash the Gogurt wrapper before I start eating the Gogurt, because I don't know the kitchen situation. I don't know how your fridge is.
Yep. Speaking of gross stuff, I saw Antibirth. This is directed by Danny Perez.
Should we have watched this instead of Zoom?
Yes, we should have. It's not great. I don't even know if I'd call this. Yeah, it's good. It's not great. This is with Natasha Lyonne, Chloe Sevigny, Meg Tilly, Mark Webber. Solid cast. It's sort of a body. It's a sort of a body horror comedy in a way.
All right.
And basically, Natasha Lyonne plays this hard drinking, hard partying young woman who mysteriously ends up pregnant, and she quickly realizes that whatever's inside of her stomach it's not human. There's something going on inside of her that is not quite right. And through a series of investigations that she attempts to take, she discovers that she has been she's an unwilling participant in an experiment, and it's pretty gross. Like most body horror movies, there's a lot of really kind of disgusting things in it. The makeup effects are quite good and quite disturbing. There's one scene where, for some reason, she has this giant blister on her foot. Like, her whole foot is basically, the bottom of her foot's a blister. And she takes this dirty steak knife and stabs it. And it's a pretty gross movie. But the end is kind of fun and interesting. I saw several reviews on Letterboxd comparing this to a Greg Araki movie, which I could definitely see Greg Araki influence in this, as well as Cronenberg. A lot of people were, but I think that's not necessarily. I don't know. I feel like anytime there's a body horror movie that comes out, people instantly compare it to Cronenberg. I don't know.
I think we've gotten to that point with Cronenberg, much as with calling things Lynchian.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? If like it's just a tiniest bit weird, oh man, it's Lynchian. It's a Lynchian movie, because there's that 5-second section where I didn't understand what was going on.
Yeah, and I don't know if I would necessarily compare this to Cronenberg at all. I think the Iraqi comparison is pretty apt, because it's got that kind of, it has bright colors. It's got a kind of a punk rock aesthetic to it. It's very dirty, it's weird. It's got this almost, there's like a lot of really weird home movies and stuff, like cable access type stuff that's playing on the TV. So it's definitely a strange movie. It's got a really weird tone to it. But if you want to check out a decent gross out horror movie, I would say check out Antibirth. I have not rated this on Letterboxd yet, because I'm really struggling with how I feel about this movie. I don't know if I liked it or not. It's one of those. Usually I have an idea right after I watch a movie, but this one I'm like, I don't know. It's probably going to sit around a 2.5 or a 3 on Letterboxd. It was okay, but I felt like the end was a little underwhelming. Although I will say that the makeup effects and the creature effects, that's right, I said creature effects, they use at the end are quite good.
Yeah. Right.
So, Antibirth is available on VOD now, so you can check it out.
Another one that I watched on No Budge was the Joanne Holiday Show. This is a 10-minute short. It's about a guy named Dennis who hasn't spoken in 23 years, and he goes to a new therapist. And when he gets there, her room is just this like big white room with 2 chairs, and she does her therapy like it's a talk show. And then he starts talking, and it's just absurdity because they just talk about absurd things, and then they leave and they just start running around New York, just doing absurd stuff, bumping into characters and jogging through the streets, and it's not that good. I didn't enjoy it. I would not suggest the Joanne Holiday Show.
Huh.
It's kind of just absurdity for absurdity's sake, but it's not, which is okay. I'm fine with that. It's just not my type of absurdity. It's not entertaining absurdity. It just didn't really work for me on any level.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
I saw De Palma. This is directed by Noah Baumbach and Jake Paltrow.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yep, it's a documentary about Brian De Palma. And it is excellent. It is excellent. I loved this movie. I went into it, I mean, I like watching documentaries about film and filmmakers. And this movie is, if you like any of De Palma's work, then absolutely check it out. If you're into filmmaking, check it out. It is 100% worth it to check this out. It is so, maybe, I mean, obviously there's a bias because I'm obsessed with movies and the process and all of that stuff, but I was just so enamored with this movie. I was basically very simple. It's just an interview with Brian De Palma. That's all it is. It's just an interview with Brian De Palma, and he goes through his entire filmography from the very beginning all the way up until current. And he just talks about every single one of his movies. And maybe that doesn't sound interesting, but it is extremely interesting. And he just talks about a lot of kind of behind the scene anecdotes about each film and what it took to get movies made and his struggles with the MPAA and his relationship with actors. And then he also kind of sprinkles in elements of his personal life. So he'll talk about like, oh yeah, I was having issues with my marriage during this production, and he would talk about his relationship with other directors and stuff, and how like he would, he's one of the old guard. Like he came up when Spielberg and Scorsese and Coppola and Lucas, and it kind of dawned on me, like, because these were all studio guys, right? Like they all worked for the studio, and it's interesting because I was thinking about it while watching this, and back then the studio would essentially just give these guys carte blanche to do whatever they want, right? Like George Lucas came up with this idea for Star Wars, and they just were like, all right, have at it. And they just threw a pile of money at him. Spielberg comes up with the Jaws, and they're just like, all right, here you go. Here's a shitload of money. And they could make what they wanted within the studio system. And I was thinking, like, it must be hard for these directors now. I mean, I certainly know that it's hard for De Palma. I mean, he left, I didn't know this, but he left the United States. He hasn't been making movies in the United States for the last 6 years.
Yeah.
His last movie that he made in the United States was Mission to Mars. And after that, he left. And, I look at Francis Ford Coppola, and his movies, he's had a really hard time making his newer movies too. And I think it's because the studio system now is very different than when they were coming up, and it's almost as if they got pushed out. Like they can't really do what they want anymore because of how things have changed within the industry.
No, because we got all that money to give to Zack Snyder now.
Yeah, and it's just, I don't know, it's kind of sad, but it was also kind of a sad movie in that with De Palma, I think that he's truly a great director. I mean, this guy, some of the shots that he created and popularized and the types of movies that he made I think that some of his movies are
masterpieces. I think that he's an amazing director, but he just never got any kind of big, he never got credit for it. Most of his movies either were not financial successes, they were not critical successes. And a lot of his movies, like Scarface, for instance, when that came out, it didn't make a lot of money. It was not very well received by critics. But then, years and years later, it kind of achieves this cult status where, all the hip hop moguls and stuff start referencing it, and it starts to catch on. And it was funny because he talks about that. He talks about how the hip hop community sort of adopted Scarface.
Does he regret the whole "say hello to my little friend"?
He doesn't talk about that. He didn't discuss that. He did say that at one point they approached him to rescore Scarface using all hip hop music, and he said no, absolutely not. But I would highly recommend this movie. It is, even to you, Kevin. I know you're not the biggest of Palma fan, and to be honest with you, there's a lot of his movies that I'm not, the big fan of. I'm not that into Scarface. It's okay.
Yeah, Scarface is alright.
I think Blowout's still my favorite of his.
Blowout's good. Sisters is good.
Yeah, Sisters. And he talks about it's just really interesting. The fact that he starts at the beginning, and I didn't know this, but he basically gave Robert De Niro his start. Robert De Niro's first role was in a student film of De Palma's. And there's just all these tons of really, really interesting kind of behind-the-scenes anecdotes and stuff that he talks about. He talks about working with Sean Penn when he was talking about Casualties of War and how Sean Penn and Michael J. Fox were not getting along. And at one point, Sean Penn punched Michael J. Fox in the face, and just all these really interesting behind-the-scenes tidbits. But
that stuff's always interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a really, really fascinating movie, and he's one of these directors like Scorsese or like Herzog where I just hang on every word that he's saying because he's a really good storyteller, and he's funny, he's affable, he's a nice guy. He seems like a nice guy, and it's really easy to just kind of settle in, and he's like your grandpa telling you a story. You just, you sit down on the floor and just listen and just take it all in. But De Palma, highly recommend. Check this out. This is probably one of the best docs I've seen this year.
I finally got around to watching Connect Media's newest, I forget what they call it, catalog? Program? Called a program. If you remember last month, I covered 3 of the films that they came out with, and then the 3 that they came out with this time around, which is Republic, Tales, and Burden. So I checked out all 3 of these, and I gotta say I enjoyed all 3. Neither one really blew me away like last programs did with Ocean Falls, but the Republic is about 12 minutes long, much like 8888 and I Want a Best Friend, which is just kind of this video diary collage type deal from the director. Is shot over a year, starting from the attacks in Paris to the refugee crisis and to early 2016, the protests and stuff. So it's all around that time span, and it's just kind of shots of the city, and, kind of layered on top of each other, and manipulating footage and all that type of thing. So pretty interesting. It wouldn't say blew my mind or anything. There's also this thing that I've noticed too, to kind of watching recent experimental films or avant-garde, or whatever you want to call it. And although I haven't watched tons, I'm sure there's people out there that have seen far more than what I've seen. But the one thing that I've noticed is that experimental has become kind of status quo, where I'm not really sure what you're experimenting with anymore.
Yeah.
Because you're just doing the same type of experiments that people have already done.
Yeah, wouldn't it mean, by definition, wouldn't it mean that you're trying something new, you're trying something different, you're seeing what works?
Yeah, which they kind of are, because they're not doing what's quote-unquote standard or normal. But in the same vein, people have been experimenting for years and years and years. So you're working in the non-standard format, but you're not setting yourself apart from the other experimental works. It's just kind of like you're doing a rehash of the previous experiments.
It almost seems like I would call, something like, I don't know, like Tangerine, like a feature film shot entirely on an iPhone, never been done before, something like that. I would almost call that an experimental film. Or going back to Palma and like how he did the whole the split screen thing, and that was kind of, he was one of the first people that did that. He was also one of the first people that introduced the Steadicam. And it's like, I would almost call that experimental, but we don't consider those experimental films.
No, because he's using those experiments within a standard narrative.
Yeah.
So they're just kind of innovations instead of experiments. And, the other one, Burden, this is about 19 minutes, 20 minutes long. And it follows, it's random images in a sequence. Well, maybe not entirely random, but it's kind of like taking it through life, like the growth and everything. So you have a lot of images of things growing and cells splitting and all that type of thing. And then, it ends with a picture of the galaxy, and so you have that whole trajectory there. So it's interesting enough to watch, but at the same time, it doesn't really stick with you all that much. And then the other one, Tales, which is a little more identifiable, where it's just this short film, I think like 18, 19 minutes long, of this young woman, her boyfriend dies, so she goes to the countryside. And then the spirit visits her and tells her that her boyfriend's going to come back, and she has to go out into nature to try and find out where he's at, where his spirit is. So you have like talking water and talking like meadows stuff. It kind of works. It's got some nice visuals. It's an interesting idea. And I would say out of the three, that was the one that stuck with me the most. It was the one I enjoyed the most. But again, all the and I hate to do this, to kind of compare it to the program that came before it, because it's not entirely fair, but I'm going to do it anyways because I'm an asshole. And I would say that the first program is stronger than this one. But it's still interesting stuff. I'm still looking forward to the next month's program. But if I had to pick one out of the three, I would say Tales. That's the one I would pick.
Where's that available again?
Connect Media.
Yeah, Connect Media. You can check it out, because they're all available, right, for free?
Oh, yeah. And if you still haven't seen Ocean Falls, check that one out.
There you go. All right, let's move on and talk about some predictions. Last week, Yoga Hosers.
Oh, boy.
You said 14, I said 18, actual 21%. It seems high, because it's all I've been reading is that everybody hates this movie with a passion.
I know. I have not heard anyone.
I don't know.
Just listen to the wrong people.
I couldn't bring myself to go see it. No, Morgan, you said 22. I said 36. Actual 43.
Okay.
Yeah, just that movie just looks painfully average. Next week we have Sully.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Time.
Been waiting for this. Been waiting.
Oh yeah.
Clint Eastwood, Tom Hanks. What? All right. What are you thinking on Sully?
66.
I will say 78 on that one. I will not be seeing it. I'll tell you that right now. Sully will not be reviewed on next week's show.
Oh.
We also have When the Bow Breaks. This movie looks...
I've never heard of this.
Yeah, it's a thriller. Looks pretty bad. I'll say 31.
I'll say 44.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Fantastic.
I think also The Disappointments Room is getting a wide release.
What now?
The Disappointments Room.
That is a terrible title.
I know. What an awful title.
What the hell? Disappointments Room.
The Disappointments Room is directed by DJ Caruso. He's the guy that did Disturbia.
Okay.
He did some other like bigger things, newer things, but I can't remember. What are you thinking on The Disappointments Room?
Oh, he's the director of Eagle Eye.
Yeah, Eagle Eye, that's it.
Disappointments Room, I'm going to say 12.
12. I think it'll be a little bit better than that. I'll say 28 on that one.
Okay.
In limited release next week, we have The Wildlife, which is an animated movie I never heard of. We have London Road. We have Other People. It's one with Molly Shannon, I believe. We have Kicks.
Cool.
Big fan of Kicks. I'd highly recommend that one. We have Demon, which is one that I'm interested in.
I'm interested in that one as well.
For the Love of Spock. It's a documentary about Spock, I think.
Thanks.
Yeah. Let's see what else we have here. Not a whole lot. Not a whole lot else coming out next week.
One that I've heard really good things. Camera Person.
Oh yeah, Camera Person, the Kirsten Johnson movie.
Looking forward to that one.
Yeah, it's probably going to be good. Landfill Harmonic.
It looks like we got 3 here. We got Camera Person, Kicks, and Demon. They look interesting.
Yeah, I'd probably recommend those 3. But the others, nothing else.
Yeah.
Nothing else worthwhile.
No.
Next week on VOD, we have The Royal Road. That comes out on Tuesday. We have... that's it. That's all I have.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Make sure to check the VOD listings on Amazon and stuff, because maybe some of those other ones that we mentioned are also going to get a VOD release. I just did not... I just was not contacted. I don't think Kicks is. I'm pretty sure Kicks is just going to be in theaters. Because I've been in contact with the publicist about that. But the other ones I'm not sure of. So next week on Blu-ray, this is for Tuesday, September 6th, we have Night of the Living Deb.
Ooh,
That's all about. Never heard of that. The Meddler, Susan Sarandon, Rose Byrne.
Meddling and shit.
We have Urge. Equals.
Okay.
This one with Kristen Stewart and Nicholas Hoult. Sci-fi movie. Speaking of which, did you see the trailer for the Kelly Reichardt?
Oh no, I have not yet.
Kristen Stewart. It looks really good. Can't wait. We have The Darkness. That's that horror movie with Kevin Bacon.
Oh boy.
Hard Target 2.
Thank goodness.
They made a sequel to Hard Target.
Good.
Hard Target 2.
Good for you guys.
It does not star Van Damme.
Oh.
And it's...
Never mind.
Yeah, I'd probably not recommend that one. Fursonas, that's the documentary about furries that I saw at Slam Dance, I think. It's not very good. Nina, that's one with Zoe Saldana about Nina Simone. Buddy Moon, which is a comedy that I didn't really like too much. August Winds. Did we see that?
I don't think so.
I think we were gonna see it, and then something, I don't know.
Something happened.
Yeah, something happened. Honey 3, Dare to Dance.
Ooh.
Now You See Me 2, which I heard is really, really bad. Money Monster. That's the Jodie Foster one with Julia Roberts and Clooney. The Iron Giant is getting a new release on Blu-ray.
Ooh.
Yeah. Haunted Honeymoon getting a Blu-ray release.
Bittersweet.
I'm gonna try to pick that up. I want to watch that. It's been years since I've seen Haunted Honeymoon.
I wonder if I had that on VHS. If I still have it. I have to look.
Probably do. I still have all my old VHSs in my dad's house. That's
Break
pretty
out
much
that
it.
old haunted honeymoon VHS.
Bust that out.
Hell yeah.
Tale of Tales also comes out.
Tale of Tales.
That one's worth it. That one's worth checking out. I enjoyed that one.
Yeah. Something I really recommend.
Criterions.
We got one. 1940. Night Train to Munich. Carol Reed did it.
All right.
I've been wanting to see that sucker forever. I have not yet. So I can't tell you anything about it.
Cool. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for this week. Thank you so much for tuning in. You can send us your questions and topics to podcast@filmpulse.net. You can follow us on Twitter @FilmPulseNet and @FilmPulseKevin. And if you have a minute, take a look at our Patreon page. Patreon.com/FilmPulse is the address. Consider helping us out by becoming a subscriber. We appreciate that so very much. For Kevin Rakestraw, my name is Adam Patterson. We'll see you next week.